up, people? Happy Monday, I guess. Monday's
Happy Monday still. Hey,
happy
yeah,
whatever.
we're being positive here.
Yeah, let's get positive vibes for the happiness of Monday. And welcome to this live stream where we will be talking Charmed season 3, episode 6, because we got to dive into it, y'all. So many things were put out there. So many things were touched upon that I really feel like are going to be building up for the rest of this season. Some things I'm excited about. Other things I'm like, what are they even trying to do? Please don't do that. No, stop. And we got right. We got to dive into it. So much went on. And thank you all for joining us here on the live stream, and those of you who are watching on the replay. I'm your host, Chauncey K. Robinson, aka Twisted CKR, and I'm joined by the woman who made me possible, Karen Robinson, my mama, y'all. We just, we already see the chat is popping. Y'all got a lot to say. Some of y'all are already issuing some warnings for Abigail. Some of you are shipping Mel. Some of y'all got a lot of things to say. We got a lot of things to talk about. Let's dive right into it. We're gonna talk about our overall thoughts, and then go into the happenings going on, and then finally our ship talk, because I gotta talk about ship talk. This was kind of a very heavy ship episode in a way, kind of inadvertently with the plot lines that they had. It was a heavy ship talk, heavy ship kind of episode. So we got to dive into it. So, I guess my question I'm going to pose to you all before we dive into it that you can think about is, do you think, well, 2 questions. What do you think the 5th dimension is exactly? And will it open it up to other universes and things like that? And also, what do you think is going to be, do you think Abigail was aware that this was happening to her, or was she really kind of caught off guard? Like, what did she expect to happen when she did the totem pole thing and that went down? So, let us know your thoughts. Think about that, because we're going to talk about it. But lady, what are your overall thoughts of this episode 6?
My overall thought.
Overall, did you like it? Did you hate it? Did you love it?
I liked it. It was good, and it was a good episode. And I felt like they was really getting back to, like I said, I saw the original, and the original, you just had it every day. They was fighting against something, but in this one, we're slowly, in a way, we're getting back to that, and everybody going to their lives or whatever. But I like this episode. This episode was good, and it looked like it's getting ready to go somewhere. So I enjoyed this episode. That's my overall thought on that.
Yeah, and we have people in the chat. Also, let us know in the chat and also in the replay. Did you like this episode? Did this episode give you high blood pressure? Did it make you feel some type of way with things that were happening? Let us know. We already got Erica in the chat, and Erica, she always got to mention her man Jimmy, because now she's getting hope that Jimmy's going to be coming back. She's saying, now, girl, my husband Jimmy is coming back. What other reason would Harry's back be cracking out of nowhere? So that might be a connection that he needs his other half to feel whole. Who knows? There's a lot going on there. We got some people already talking about the Antonio and Maggie situation.
And we gotta talk about that.
I'll talk about my thoughts of that in a little bit. Caddis is saying 5th dimension feels like it's either be some kind of demon dimension or a rift in time. Erica is saying this episode made me like Abby, like it actually made me like her now. They treat her wrong. She is begging for help and they don't care. Her and Jordan are not treated right at all. Yeah, we gotta talk about that, because I think I'm feeling some type of way about how my boy Jordan is getting treated a little bit in the overall situation. So we gotta talk about that. There's There's some stuff going on. Stephanie is saying this was really a good filler episode, but my agenda has always been for the CW to reduce the episode count across the board for all their shows. Yeah, maybe some sort of like Netflix way. I mean, the thing is CW does and as most network television still does, the old school model of 22 episodes or more. And we all know technically, and even if you don't know, because I don't want to assume you do know, anyone who, who watches TV and things like that, it's for ad space, right? This is how networks make their money. They don't make their money on subscriptions. They make their money on selling advertisement space, commercials to advertisers, right? So the more episodes there are, the more money they can make with advertisers. So that's kind of still, it can feel a little archaic at this point with all the subscriptions, but less episodes mean less time for money. So money talks when it comes down to how we get our stories told. So yes, we are going to get filler episodes as much. And sometimes filler episodes are kind of nice. A little time to like sit with the person, sit with the characters. I feel like sometimes with Netflix shows and other shows that are like 7 or 6 to 8 episodes or sometimes 6 to 10 episodes long, it's like every episode, everything's happening. So it's like mini movies as opposed to, the TV show format where you kind of grow with the characters. They have stuff that doesn't significantly happen, but there's growth with characterization and stuff. So, there's a lot there. My overall thoughts for this episode is I really enjoyed some aspects of it. Some aspects of it I really did enjoy. Other aspects of it, I was like, why? And I have my frustration with sometimes the choice the writers make with certain characters, where it seems like it's 2 steps forward and like 5 steps back with some of the characters and some of the things. But I think where they're putting the heavy attention to, I've been happy about, like with Hacy and Macy and Harry, who seem to be, I mean, I think it's very clear Macy's kind of the lead of the show, even though, the other 2 girls get a lot of play, but it's, it's kind of clear Macy's kind of as the older one, the central focus type, kind of the focal point at times. And I do like where they're going with her stuff. But I think overall, this was a solid enough episode. I think what this episode did is that it set the stage for things that will be going on throughout, things that we got touched upon, things we got teased about, and what the rest of the season, aside from the bigger issue of the 5th dimension, is going to be dealing with. Lilania is saying, yeah, filler episodes can be good to get a feel for stuff. Like this episode, let us feel where the characters are with more time for talk. Yes. Ray is saying Mel is finally really flexing with what her powers can do besides being a mini fridge or boiling water. That is very true. Eric is saying, did anyone catch that Hacy parallel with the whole, oh, we're not married? Please, they will be engaged by the end of season. Fact. We got to talk about that as well. Blue Wolf Phoenix, thanks for joining us in the chat. Blue Wolf is saying Mel's powers are like Elsa and the Human Torch. They are very much like that. Although I kind of miss her time thing at times. I think that would have, that could help. But, for this, yeah. And so, we have and Caddis is pointing out, it already has less episodes planned than a normal season, 18 instead of 22 in terms of this. Ray is saying, I love Chauncey's mom. She is so cool and supportive. Yes, we love her. We love her. So when she calls me, well, I still love her, even when she calls me randomly to complain about certain things, because she's got to get it out there. And, my mom has a lot of thoughts and feelings, and that's where I get it from. So I appreciate it. Jayla is saying it was a good episode. I'm loving the trend of more character development coupled with action this season. So yeah, I think overall, there was a lot of setup for stuff and a lot of, issues of growth and where characters are mentally. And so when we talk about the happenings, the 3 main happenings, I want to, because they did it anyway, the show, let's talk about the 3 main plot points, right? There was the main plot of Harry and Macy on the run, not the run, but on the trail of what's going on with the 5th dimension. There's the issue of Mel and Abby, Mel helping out Abigail. And then there's the situation of Maggie's college stuff, which was kind of a C plot. Maggie and Jordan's stuff. Maggie's college issue and Jordan's issue with him being a lawyer. So we'll talk about all of that. Let's first talk about Maggie. Let's go with that, because that was a little bit of the smaller plot, and we'll build our way up. So what did you think of Maggie's situation this episode, Ma, where she thought Antonio was the one because she was waiting for, people to come for her sign up for her dance, dealing with trauma class. It turns out that it was all signs and signatures that were jokes, which were very funny jokes of the names. And Jordan was the one to point it out to her. Jordan, always being helpful and supportive, was the one to point it out to her. She automatically thinks it's Antonio as her nemesis. So she does a spell to change all of his posters. We find out that he wasn't behind it. It was a Sigma thing. And eventually, Maggie treats him out to a beer. For whatever reason, to make up for that, I guess. And, one of the things Maggie says this episode, which is that she wants to focus on herself. She we'll talk about it a little bit more with ship talk with Jordan. We'll separate that out for a second. But the main thing she was saying, she wants to focus on herself. And it would seem that now Maggie and Antonio aren't nemesis. He started out as kind of a sexist, let me talk over you. And he gave honestly, a bum ass excuse as to why he does that. I got thoughts, but and now they're on good terms. So what did you think of Maggie's plot this episode, Ma?
Well, it was okay. And I figured that was going to happen when she said, try to get back revenge on him. And then she found out, now you know how it feels. And he go, what? And then that's when he tell her about the, how they always do this. Mm-hmm. But then, when she told him he was her nemesis, he said, what? I'm your nemesis. And then that's when he told her she was his. Yeah. But then now they're getting friendly and all like that. I hope they don't go
And she had a premonition. That was the other thing. Yes. And the premonition, like, he don't got no shirt on. She's in bed. She turns around. He's there. So that happened.
But it might not happen. I'm hoping it don't.
I mean, there's always a chance that it's misinterpreted, right? Maybe something happens. He ends up staying at her place. She also did seem like she was in a get-up in her nighty gown or whatever. So,
remember, she can touch a human, but she can't, and like she.
And that plays into this, right? The idea that, especially the idea with her and Jordan, which we'll talk about with Ship Talk. But here it is, this person she can connect with who she can talk and touch or whatever like that. Caddis is saying in the chat, it was the weakest plot of the episode, but I loved all the Joggy interactions, and the scene with them at the bar had some clarity over why Maggie is so distant. Yeah, we'll talk about that in a second. But
when Jordan, when he was coming in, he saw them. He just smiled to himself and turned around. I said,
it wasn't a smile like, I'm so happy. It was like, okay. This is what we're doing right now. But we'll talk about that with Ship Talk. That's Ship Talk, Ma. We're talking about the plot line, which is her, her Ship Talk. But with the plot line itself, we're getting more of Maggie wanting to be solo. She's explaining that the idea is she sees what Macy and Mel are going through, and she just wants to focus on herself. She wants to pursue her dreams. She wants to do this thing of being a therapist, and it was all right. It gave her something to do. I honestly think it was a contrived plot point to make Antonio not so much of a bad guy. I saw the actor who plays Antonio's Instagram, where he did a thing where he's looking like this, and he has a thing like watching Jordan be so sweet to Maggie, as though kind of playing this idea that Antonio's already going to be antagonistic towards Jordan, or he's going to be the third person in this triangle, which we'll talk about in a little bit. Let me know if y'all saw that, because I just happened to see that he posted that on his Instagram. And so, I mean, I don't think he's being, I think he was playing around. It's all fictional, y'all. He's not, just like, I love the actress that plays Abigail. It's all fictional. They're actors playing roles well. I did think it was a little contrived. I thought it was contrived out of a way to, we haven't seen the professor since then. And, I asked the question in the chat a few streams ago on whether Antonio and the professor were sexist and things like that. And I felt like his reasoning to tell Maggie of, I just came from a family where if you didn't speak up, you just got talked over. And he was like, yeah, I do talk over you, and I just thought that was such a bad excuse. I'm like, why? What is it with this idea of giving grown men, this kind of way of backing out of situations. And I said it before where I said, please don't make it so this dude's a jerk. And then somehow I'm supposed to see that he's not so much of a jerk, because it's such a played out plot line. You know what I mean? It's such a played out plot line to me. And I thought it was so contrived. And I think Maggie, in my honest opinion, I think Maggie was just too quick to be all cool with him, to be honest. I thought that was I didn't like it. Not that I don't like the guy Antonio, he's cute, but it's like I saw the writing on the wall when he was cast. I was like, all right, we see where this is going, because it's just such a contrived way of putting him in this story with her. Stephanie is agreeing with me. Garbage excuse, exactly. Davil in the chat, thanks for joining us, Davil, is saying Antonio excuse was trash. Exactly. Damie is saying, I actually missed that professor. Exactly. Where's the professor? They're competing for this thing, and we haven't even seen them check in with this guy. Yeah. And Ray is saying it's the bad boy. She likes a little edge. We're done with that, though. This is the thing. We had this with Parker already. Didn't we do this with Maggie already? We did this thing where the guy is rough around the edges. Like, let's retire this idea that a woman needs to reform a man with her love. You know what I'm saying? Like let them make their choices. And I'll even say that about Mel and Abby when I get to it. But, this whole idea that, Jordan, well, that's shit talk, but you get what I'm saying. I just thought it was a whack excuse. Liliana is saying the premonition seemed out of context for me. Exactly. So let us know in the chat. Do y'all think that I think it's a fake out. I'm gonna hope it's a fake out. Do y'all think it's a fake out that there's not a thing of them sleeping together or something like that, but maybe just something happens? Bless you, lady. Something happens. Like, Ma, do you think that premonition is as obvious as it looks, or do you think it's going to be a fake out?
It might be a fake out. I'm hoping that it's a fake out, because when she thought about it, she looked like. But remember, not all the premonition, mean it's going to happen.
Exactly. Yeah. We saw Mel. Someone saw. Who was it?
Mel said
Maggie saw Mel dying, right? A few things ago. She ended up dying, did she? So there's a lot of times where, that could be a thing. Stephanie is saying, my one complaint with the Maggie storyline besides Antonio was forgetting about the personal gain rule, and his explanation about talking over her was garbage. Exactly. And I just felt like it was so contrived. I was just like, okay, so is this going to be the writer's way of making this dude the nice guy? Like, what?
Yes, they want y'all to see he have a reason for being the way
people are grown, Ma. People are grown. Like him. Yeah, I get you. It's a contrived way, but I'm like, people are grown. This idea that this guy who's supposed to be this really smart dude that she's a nemesis of can't understand. He's in therapy psychology classes, and he can't figure out that talking over someone is bad. Like, it's just really, it doesn't. I didn't like it.
This is the way the writers are having him go and having us look at this person.
Yeah,
how he is and everything.
But I just thought it was a cop out to get him close.
Yeah,
to
what
her.
He said, I'm like, huh?
Yeah.
I thought he was gonna say, "Well, I have sisters, and with sisters, you know how." And he was gonna make that joke. You know how women are. You can't get a word. You can't get a
right.
Just
because this is the thing. Exactly. The subtle sexism doesn't just go out the window because he gives you the excuse. It means it's kind of a red flag here. It's kind of like, listen, he's telling you he's grown up in a household that's going to make him not be the best person to be around. I don't know why you find that endearing, but, here we are, and you're sharing a beer with him. Erica is saying, Antonio did say he had two brothers, trio of light and dark. Yeah, I know he can't be magical per se, but I'd be down for it. Yeah, maybe he's an undercover, person in that. Candace is saying, I'd like to know why he's taking the class. Exactly. Stephanie saying, lacking in emotional intelligence, that Antonio. Exactly, but you're taking a class to be a therapist one day? Like, I don't get it. David was saying, you are in college in my country. If I did that, I would have probably been called out. He kind of cute, still not gonna lie. Exactly. He's a nice looking dude. So this is what I'm talking about. The same thing. It's like they kind of, it's this weird trope of the nice looking guy gets away with being a jerk, and we all just okay with it. And I just think, it's the year 2021. We can do better when we write. I think the writers can do better when they write.
Especially on how males, especially young ones, supposed to act.
Ahmad has a good idea. Hi, thanks for joining us, Ahmad. It's saying it could be Jordan and Antonio swap bodies or something. I mean, for that.
You know what? Okay.
Yeah, so they can touch. That's what Macy and Harry need to do. But then, yeah, maybe not. I don't know if you guys saw Wonder Woman 1984. That's probably not okay to do, because that's what they did with Wonder Woman. So with that plot line, it was the smallest one. Some of y'all are, I'm in agreement with some of y'all. It was kind of the weakest one. I thought it was a contrived plot point to just make it so Antonio and her get on friendly terms. And where that goes and that premonition is anyone's thought. But I wasn't really feeling it. Okay, so let's go to Mel and Abby.
I figured it.
But we're not going to do shit. We're not going to talk shit yet.
Okay, we're going to talk shit yet, but
we're going to talk about Abigail's plot line and the idea that what happened was Abigail reaches out to Mel. She says, I think someone's trying to kill me. Also, I noted in my notes, I said she's back in charge because now she's got guards. Like, we had it so a few episodes ago, she was just like in her house and no one was worried about her. But now she's the head of the demon world again, somehow. That was a little quick. But she's the head of the demon world. She's just as powerful as ever. She's relishing in her power. And then it looks like someone's trying to kill her. She doesn't know who. She reaches out to Mel. Mel begrudgingly kind of helps her, but not so begrudgingly. It doesn't take much for Mel to help her, but it's also kind of like Mel, who somehow might, I guess, been keeping tabs on Abigail, said, "You're now the head of the demon world again." I don't know how she found that out, but she did.
Find that out?
I don't know, maybe because she keeps tabs on Abby for reasons. And so there's a thing, and eventually what we see is, and I'm not going to talk shit talking flirting just yet. I just plot line wise, what we see is that it turns out that Abigail is actually, her demon half is trying to kill herself. So like Abigail said, she doesn't, like some people sleepwalk, but she sleeps danger or whatever she calls it, where it's like when she falls asleep, that demon part of her wakes up and tries to harm her. So there's kind of an internal battle with her, trying to deal with the side. And Mel kind of calls out. She's like, so, is your issues of wanting to be this head of the demon society and stuff like that have to deal with your issues with your family? Kind of giving tit for tat when Abigail called Mel out earlier and saying, oh, please, why don't you face your issues? You just like pushing people away because you're afraid to lose them. So they both kind of sized each other up pretty well, this episode. But what we have is, it kind of got left on an open-ended, right? Thank you, Blue Wolf. Sleep self-harm or sleep harm, as Abigail had said. So we have this issue where we don't know. I was a little confused, and let me know in the chat if you are a little confused too, because I'm trying to remember now when Abigail first got the totem from Jordan. Did she not break the totem or something, or did she look in it and breathe it in? But the totem was now whole. Maybe she didn't break it, but I thought she consciously went after the totem to get that part of herself. So it's a little weird to me, the idea that she was surprised that her demon self was trying to kill her, unless she took the powers in order to be as powerful, not realizing that the demon half of her would try to take over fully. What do you think, Ma?
I think maybe I think the demon half was trying to take over fully because he was trying to kill her all together.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that half want to be, take over her all together and just be the king of all the demons.
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely think it gave her some power up, but not that she really needed a power up. So the question is, when she went after the totem, she does tell Mel, she's like, I have been searching for it along with my sister who doesn't want to have anything to do with me. But it's kind of like, okay, why was she trying to go after the totem? Exactly. You know what I mean? Like, what was in the totem? Clearly she unleashed something in the totem because we saw it. But now she seems confused that it's trying to kill her. Yeah, that confused me just a little bit because I'm like, well, why else go after the totem if you didn't want to unleash that demon part? Or was it like she wants to keep who she is, but she felt like the demon part would give her more power? I think
I'd go with the one that you just said, that it might give her more power.
Yeah. Going for. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, more power. I don't think she was aware that it would get so dangerous to her conscious self. Zay is saying, I hope that Abby's self-reflection with her demon and finding out the reason why her demon side keeps it killing her leads to her giving Macy her demon power back. Yes, I definitely agree with you. We need to have Macy's demon power back because she needs it. We want Macy to be whole in all of her parts. We got Cactus in the chat with a WandaVision. I feel like it's a WandaVision reference of it was Abigail all along. It was Agatha all along. For those of you, I don't want to give any spoilers, so it's going to stay out of context, but I do believe that is a WandaVision reference. Thank you for that. And if you do watch WandaVision, you can also check out my weekly recaps with my brother, Damon, my mama's son as well, that we do together. And also, if you haven't subscribed yet, if you're new here and you haven't subscribed, we love slicing into storytelling here. Please subscribe. And if you haven't already, please give this video a thumbs up for more people to be able to find it and engage with it and, get to come join us on our journey, even if it's in the replay. And lastly, if you want to show some super chat love with a question that we can take a little bit more time on to discuss, or something you want to ask, or if you just want to give some super chat love in general, it's always appreciated, y'all. We love what we do. I love what I do. But super chats are always nice to receive. They help out the channel. They help out, things that go towards the channel. So Ray is saying, Abby demon form gave me Silent Hill La Llorona vibes from Conjuring verse super badass. Yes, I also agree with that. Damie is saying, how did Abby take over the demon world again? A couple episodes ago, they didn't want her. Exactly. I was a little confused. I mean, maybe that's just happened off screen. Maybe it was her demon self that she unleashed that was able to let her do that. It did kind of confuse me a little bit because I was like, wasn't she like a nobody for a second? And she even mentioned that to Jordan, that no one was checking for her anymore. And then suddenly she's back to being the head of the demon world somehow, very easily, actually.
But I think something going on there too. The guy that what was he, her first lieutenant?
Yeah.
Whatever. And I know he was talking to somebody else about that situation. So you never know. Something else is coming up along that way with that.
You mean the dude from last season, right?
Yeah.
But I feel like I don't think he died. So I'm kind of wondering what she do with him, that actor, right? Like he was ready to kill her to give it to Parker. And then that all happened, but he didn't die. So it's like, where is he now? Or maybe it's just one of those things we're not supposed to think about. Daybell is saying, she said when she was young, her mom stripped her demon form, so she went back for it for more power, but she didn't know how dangerous it was. Thank you, Daybell. That's kind of what I figured. But it was weird because when she first got the totem, she looked in the mirror and saw that part of her. So it's kind of like, so this part is there, and also the question is, why does the demon part want to kill her? Like,
that's why
if the demon part is part of her form, why kill the body? I think that's the question with that. It's a little bit of a mystery.
Or maybe that's why, her mother stripped her of the demon, because she knew that the demon was going to try to take over, kill her and take over, possess her altogether. Because if maybe the demon can't exist all the way out unless she's dead.
Maybe it's that idea that he has to kill, or whatever the demon is, has to kill Abby's witch self as well for her to fully come into the demon full side. Kind of similar to what happened with Parker, killing off the human side for which was the whole idea when his mom was trying to play down his demon side to keep his human side, and his dad kind of wanted to extract the human side so he'd become fully demon. So there's that aspect. Liliana is saying, I don't think she realized, Abigail, how she wouldn't be able to control her full powers, tapping into the subconscious self-harm when she was asleep. Caddis is saying it might come down to Abigail having to choose between her witch or her demon side. That is also
both.
Yeah. Liliana said, I agree, Stephanie. I feel like the topic of things being gray is a strength for this charm compared to the OG. Yeah, things are gray. Stephanie saying, I want to get away from the theme of having to choose a side of yourself when it comes to Macy and Abby. I agree as well. And I think that's why I want Macy to get her demon powers back as well, because that's also part of who she is. And it just seemed like it was kind of a weird plot point for her to get away, to give it away. I didn't really understand why they did that. Or maybe they just wanted to be away from it. David is saying, no, remember, if you are the heir of Alistair, you get a demon privilege. So when she got back her form fully, she's got double privilege. Okay. Maybe that was part of it. Zay is saying, I think Abby is afraid of her demon side because it is what's coming between her and her mom and sister. Abby wants to be a demon, but she's afraid of it. That may be why she sleeps self-harming. Damien is saying, but are we going to talk about that demon wearing a mermaid dress? That demon was dressed to the nines. Yeah. Like, I'm like, who is this demon? Like, they got some countess kind of fashion going. I dug it, but I was just like, where is this coming from? Did she just conjure up this look?
Yeah, and the way Maggie, like,
yeah, like what? Yeah, Maggie comes home and she's like, "What is going on? There's a demon up in the house. Like, what is happening?" And then, of course, Mel sees the ring. She recognizes the ring, and she's like, "Abby, wake up! Wake up." Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's very interesting. And I'm wondering, let me know, y'all, is Mel the only one that calls her Abby? Or I feel like Macy and Maggie call her Abigail. I don't know. I feel like it's Mel that calls Abigail Abby. Yeah, I don't feel like the others call her that, which I think is cute, but that's just my little shipper talking. Jayla is saying, why when Abigail used the firepower, Macy didn't think that was suspect? Okay, so that's been a point of contention where, I will say, and this is not me necessarily defending Abigail, because, Macy is my fave of everything, but she willingly gave her power. Now, I don't know if she knew that Abigail was going to use it herself, but I would imagine Macy had to figure that if I'm not using it, it's going to go to somebody. So I think in that sense, I feel like we can't be mad at Abigail too much because Macy gave it willingly. I think if anything, Macy needs to ask for it back, or needs to, get set back somehow. Yeah, Maggie and Jordan talked earlier, and he referred to her as Abby. Maybe it's the people that have worked with her. Maybe that's the thing, because Jordan got close to Abigail, and then Mel has worked with her. So maybe because I always feel like Macy and Maggie kind of refer to her as Abigail, but so there's a little, that's cute. But yeah, that was that plot line, and I like that. I liked, I know some people want Abigail, they ship Abigail with a knife to the chest and whatnot, but I feel like, as much as I love the power of three, it's the same reason why I like Harry around, not just for the fact that he's with Macy, and the same reason why I like Jordan around, not just for the fact of whatever this is with him and Maggie, but because it's nice when they have other characters that kind of accentuate their world, where they're not just like secluded. So you have characters that they interact, whether they're reoccurring, whether or not they're consistent. I feel like it adds to it. I don't think all those characters need to be cookie cutter, nice, I'm your ally through and through. And I feel like sometimes people kind of want all the characters that are consistently around to be wonderful for the witches, as opposed to maybe they like Abigail's that person they deal with who they have issues with, but they still have this begrudging allyship. And I don't think that's a negative. I think she actually adds to the show in that regard. She's kind of their connection to the demon world, you know. So that's kind of where I'm at with that. Damie is saying, I would have suspected her mom is behind it all, but her mom is a witch. That's a thing too. Caddis is saying, I just don't know where her story can go. I don't want Abigail to get her own plot line if it's not going to connect to the sisters. Exactly. I also agree with that. I don't want it to just be a one-off. It needs to kind of circle back around. Then again, they have Jordan sometimes having his plot lines that don't seem to directly connect to the three either. So it's one of those things where it can always be a plot C and it connects because Abigail did go to Mel. And this is the thing too. And I'm going to hold it off till I get the ship talk on what I think they're doing with Abigail. But yeah, I definitely, it's going to be interesting to see where that goes. So I didn't hate that plot line. And it was interesting for the most part. It definitely was a little bit stronger than Maggie's plot line this episode. Damien is saying, as for Macy's demon powers, Madeline said in an interview that Liz, one of the show runners, said they stripped her dark side for the greater good. It was a bad choice. It was just silly. They need to get, what was the point of that? What's the point of stripping? Like, what was her demon side doing against her? You know, what's this idea?
With the source, when they did it with the source, when she took in the source and everything, and she start feeling that power more and more.
Yeah,
taking more over. But I figured she would they would have let her deal with it instead of taking it away from her.
Yeah, and I just feel like the thing with taking away her powers and now she's back to being able to move stuff, which is cool. It's whatever. But I felt like her demon powers are a lot cooler. In my opinion, I just thought what she was capable of doing with her demon powers are a little bit cooler than what they've been doing with the whole movement thing, because they don't do much of it with her powers. So there's that.
Like I said, I just don't understand why they took it. I mean, why did they want her to take, she could have tried, they could have tried to help her deal with it or whatever, but I think she was better with her demon power.
I think she was better with both. It was a holistic approach to a character. Jayla is saying, I don't see the need for Abigail. The show hinders itself from creating more gray villain characters. I'm over the Kane family. I agree with you about the Kane family to a certain degree, but I don't think the show hinders itself with gray characters. I think the whole idea of magic is not good or bad, right? It's gray. There are things and spells that are done that may not seem for the greater good, and sometimes they're self-serving, and that's on the witch side of things. And not all demons have to necessarily be evil. So I think if the writers were a little bit more, I don't know, capable of it in a way, it would fit a little bit more. But sometimes it does seem like a sore thumb. But I'm not against Abigail being around in that sense. All right, so that was the Mel and Abigail plot line. So then we have Harry and Macy's plot line of the magical orb, which I actually really did enjoy. We had the YouTuber type dude, Elliot. Poor Elliot. I actually liked Elliot. Sometimes I feel like I get a little annoyed because sometimes I feel like they introduce characters that I would love to see stay around, just for like little things here and there. And then they just kind of, they're one-offs and then they're gone or killed. But we have Elliot, who, he's a multimedia, new media person, and he hunts aliens. He looks for aliens, and he thinks he's going to go for an alien when he's out in the woods. Maggie happens to be watching his video, but it turns out that it wasn't that. They ended up getting some kind of weird orb. Macy, was originally going to go there with Mel, but then Mel and Maggie had their issues, of having to figure out their stuff. So Macy goes with Harry, which is a great team up because they're a very good team together. They're very smart and capable and everything. So it's very nice to see them in that dynamic. And what we get is that, Elliot talking about the orb, We get the whole married couple thing, which is reminiscent of season 1, where Macy and Harry were mistaken for a couple before they were a couple. So probably it's foreshadowing, which is cool. I'm fine with that. And then basically the one time we see basically Macy use her power, she moves the things to distract Elliot. They take the orb. But then Harry becomes obsessed with the orbs, kind of like Lord of the Rings, my precious kind of a thing, right?
Don't touch nothing that's hot. You don't touch it. And then and then first when he said it, you don't touch it, you don't come and nobody don't touch things.
Yeah. So so we had that, and then we find out that although the orb is powerful, because Harry happens to, while he's touching it, kind of make a wish that he could figure things out. Yeah. And so it kind of grows his other dimension, like others are saying, the third eye kind of thing, opening up for him to be able to see things. But he's kind of also crazy, right? It's like, I don't know if people have seen that meme around the internet where there's a whole bunch of stuff and the guy's like this trying to figure things out, but you're kind of crazy because you have so much going on in your head. And that's what happens to Harry. But we also find out, Macy saves him by talking him down, through the power of her, reaching to him about love and things like that. We'll talk about the whole thing about the age thing in the ship talk, but we find out that the orb is something of a fifth dimension. And the idea is that they may have basically, through their being possessed to bring forth that first demon, they may have opened up the fifth dimension where there was a magical Alcatraz of, as Harry had mentioned, a tomb and stuff like that was holding magical beings that were dangerous for the world, and that they basically inadvertently opened it up. What did you think about that plotline? I kind of liked that that's where it went.
Yeah, because that means that all the ones, the bad guys, they're escaping from there and coming into this world. And I guess the orb must have escaped and came into this world.
I think the orb, I don't know.
Because he said he found it when he went there. He found it. He went where his friend told him to go. And that's when he told him he found the orb.
Yeah.
And he said when he picked it up, all the colors and everything. So he got possessed right then and there.
Yeah, I mean, it's the thing is, I don't even know if it was possessed, right? It's just that the orb is so powerful, it's addictive. Kind of like, as others I agree with me. Yeah, about Lord of the Rings, like Golem and the Ring and My Precious, and he becomes so obsessed with the power of it that he withers away. That he basically just becomes obsessed with, and I think that's kind of what the orb was. And I agree that Rupert,
it took
the actor
eyesight away.
Yeah, it took the eyesight away. We saw that with Elliot. And it was eventually going to probably kill Harry too. Maybe it may have taken a little longer because he's a white lighter. But yeah, there was that. And I mean, my first thought of it was, I liked the Elliot character. Okay. Yeah. My mom's going to step away for a second. The life is happening, but she's going to come back. Ma, just mute for a second.
Where do I mute it? Oh, okay.
Yes, you see it? She'll be back in a second, y'all. Things got to get fixed at the house. So yeah, I liked the idea that I did not like the fact that Elliot died, though. And let me know in the chat, y'all, and also in the replay. I felt like Elliot could have been that character that kind of keeps his ear to the ground of weird things happening in the world and like letting them know about it, had they let him in on things. Or maybe even he could be Macy's contact. And I felt like it was a missed opportunity to once again add a character in there that could kind of, open up their world. So let me know. I just really liked Elliot, and I felt it was kind of I kind of felt bad for him that he died. I didn't, that was, that kind of sucked to me. But yeah, it's, so that was a thing. And yes, let's see what you all are saying in the chat. Erica saying, I like the idea why the orb why the orb represents should be fun. Exactly. Jayla said, I used to think this season was going to tie to mythology, but it seems to be going in an alien direction now. I think it's a little bit of both, right? Like, is the fifth dimension? Well, yeah, I guess that would be alien, but are we really going to deal with aliens on a magical show? I feel like it's still kind of mythology
from another world. So I would just say another world, not aliens.
Yeah, but alien to their world would probably make a little bit more sense. Caddis is saying now that we have the orb, they could use it for a future scene. I'd be interested to see if they can use it to enhance their powers. Yeah, see how I think they didn't destroy it, right? Because there was no way to destroy it. It gets locked away, right? So that does open it up to the idea that maybe it could be used for something without them, growing, to addicted to it. Zay is saying, I liked Elliot too. He could have helped the charm ones. Exactly. I'm like, he could have stayed. And I would have liked that. Yeah, Jayla saying Elliot could have been the Darcy of Charmed. Yeah, like we could have had, that Darcy character of the MC, like that character that kind of helps out, tells them things, knows stuff. And they just kind of got rid of him. Like, his life work was following these aliens and conspiracy theories, and they just let him die. And I was just like, no, that's whack. Like, you could have used this character. And that's what I think sometimes with the show. They're very quick. Sometimes it's really weird. It's kind of uneven to me a little bit. Let me know in the chat and also on the replay if you agree. Sometimes it feels like stuff is drawn out or it's completely sped up. Like there's really no in between sometimes with how they do things. It either gets drawn out for like a minute or it's like quick. And the next episode, it's done or something. I would like a little bit more balance with it. Blue Wolf is saying they should have not killed him. They should have kept him around for that character who almost catches the girls doing witchcraft. Exactly. Erica is saying it did give Harry some insight. Not sure how true the insight will come in handy, but he seemed knowledgeable. Well, he gave the hint about the tomb and then Macy finished it for him. As Macy pointed out, they're just so good together. And yes, Hacy is just so good together. Where she was able to say, we probably opened magical Alcatraz. So that what we're gonna get is probably a lot of characters coming in who are evil, big bads of the week, which I think, as we were saying in a few other live streams, that we like the big bad of the week that ties to the overarching plot line. I think the question is though, Ma, who put them in Alcatraz, right? If a lot of these beings are from the beginning of time, before there was even magic and demons, the question is who made the magical Alcatraz? And is there a guard of the magical Alcatraz? Is there going to be someone there who's like, yo, who just opened the gates? We got to do something. Because just as there's like evil beings in the fifth dimension, wouldn't there be good ones?
But see, you always have to go back to the elders. Before the elders, there was somebody else before them. So you never know. They could have put them back there. But will have to find maybe later on they probably bring somebody to explain that, but they're trying to, like they said, trying to detect the slab and everything, the symbols. So eventually it's gonna come out because somebody had to put them in there, and there's a reason why they did it.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's the thing. Who made the Alcatraz in the first place? Maybe, Liliana actually has a very good point in saying my bet is the first set of charmed ones did it. Now that would be very cool, I think. Because it would be like maybe they'd have to meet the first charmed one spiritual selves or something. Or maybe that would mean that these fifth dimension prisoners, magical prisoners, are going after the charmed ones because of the fact that they're the most powerful ones that could put them back in. So maybe they're about trying to take over the realm where the charmed ones currently are. So there could be that. So I think that's the question, like who made the magical Alcatraz? Damie is saying, if there is an Alcatraz, what about Tartarus in season 1 where magical creatures are tortured? Yeah, there's a lot of things they can draw back on, right? There's a lot of things that could happen. Stephanie says, oh my God, time travel to see the first set of charm ones. Exactly. That's what I'm thinking. Like either it's like their spiritual selves because, they probably died by now, or there's some way of going back in time because, last time I checked, doesn't Mel have the watch or something? And the idea of, going back to talk to the original charm ones to figure out what has happened. Erica is saying, yes, any kind of time travel episode, I am here for it. So there's a lot of possibilities there that I'm really happy about. That's why when I saw it, I was like, oh my gosh, magical Alcatraz. In my notes, I put exclamation. I'm like, this is really cool, because the question is, who made it? Now, one could also argue maybe it was the elders, right, Ma? Like, there was elders at one time too. So, but they were saying that these creatures are from the time before there was a magical government and stuff.
But there had to be somebody that also had to know who was good and who was bad. So there had to be somebody in charge of that to know that their powers was going to be wrong. So they had to have somehow let me see, how can I put this? A group of them, leaders or whatever.
Yeah,
like it could be. Well, okay, we got the elders. What was the other ones?
Well, they were saying it was before, right? Because someone had mentioned like they were titans, right? Like when the Greek gods came about, they put the titans away. And one could argue, since these beings are so powerful, a lot of them, that they were kind of
one that did that.
Exactly. They could be the magical equivalent of this, area's kind of titans, right? But then the question is, who are the Greek gods?
Yes.
If you have the titans, these magical beings that are put in magical Alcatraz, straight up other dimension, because that's just how bad they are. They're not even vanquished. They're just straight up put in prison. The question is, who trapped them? Like the titans, who were put underground, and the Kraken and all that other stuff, for those who know Greek mythology and whatnot. Then who's the Zeus? Who are the gods, and where are they? Because I don't think it's the elders. Yeah, I don't think it's the elders, right?
It could be the power to be. You never know.
The who?
Power to be.
Who's power to be?
Whoever before time.
Exactly. Yeah, but wouldn't you think that would be maybe the first charm ones?
It could be the first charm ones, but with the first charm ones, there had to be somebody over them to help them. So I would say power to be.
Okay. That's a good. Let us know in the chat, y'all. Start making your predictions. Like, do you think that we're going to be meeting the original charmed ones from eons ago? Do you think we might be getting an OG charmed crossover? I've seen that being said on the internet, that this may be a way for them to go to another multiverse or something and see other versions of themselves. I don't see it happening, just because I think there's a little bit of bad blood there. But
in the old one, like everything that they're doing the opposite of it, because I have noticed how some of the plot lines are, and I remember some of the plot lines from the old ones.
Yes,
their similarities is there.
Yeah. In a way, I felt like,
especially when you say like time travel, like when they go back.
Yeah.
If they come back, if they get to meet the original charm ones. So I'm
talking about the original from like the beginning of time, not even OG charm.
I mean, it's it have to be somewhere in the family, along the family line.
I don't think, is it family line? I don't think they're all related. I just think they get bestowed on it in different generations of witches.
Well, see, that's why I said the similarities between the old one and the new one, because in the old ones, it was mostly like from the family, like the family was mostly doing it.
Yeah, that they were charm ones in each year. But I feel like they kind of switched that up for this one, rightly so. I think because
they very switched this up.
I like that they switched it up, because if you make it so that it's just the same bloodline that gets to be charmed ones, you also make it so, depending on what the race is of those charmed ones, and all the charmed ones tend to be one race. So if you kind of make it so it jumps around, and each generation charmed ones are picked from lines and stuff, I think it makes it so you can have more variety. But I also, I think the question is, they also re-put the tree back together, right? So the question is, the guardian is still in the tree. So why, she was one of the charm ones, so why, it seems like. So why not ask her? Yeah. Like, hey, there's a magical Alcatraz. What's up with that? like, or maybe they can't go to the tree. I can't really remember why they haven't consulted the tree yet.
I noticed that they like none of them go, well, we need to ask the tree wherever. They just left that alone.
Yeah, that kind of just fell off. I don't know. Damien is saying massive jailbreak. I believe Caddis earlier was saying the prison needs a warden. Exactly. Who's the magical warden? That's my question. And
to try to get help.
Exactly. Like, if this is happening, why not someone from the fifth dimension coming in like, yo, what's going on? They came to like, can we get some help over here? Yeah. So Jayla is saying, dear God, no crossover. The only one I'd been fine with seeing on this version is Shannon and Prue. Oh, yes. Oh, my gosh. That was the only one I liked from the OG one. Prue, my girl, once they killed her off, I stopped watching, y'all. I can't even lie. I don't know what happened after Prue was killed because I didn't care. But I did watch other. No, I love Prue. I will follow Shannon Doherty, honestly, to any show. And you got to go there quick whenever Shannon Doherty's on a new show because she's going to get kicked off eventually. So you got to get there early before she said no. As a Shannon Doherty, years of it being a Shannon Doherty fan, I know this too well. She starts on a show, she makes it a hit, and then she gets powers that be. And I felt like she helped make that charm to hit, and then that whole thing with Alyssa Milano.
I just didn't get why they killed. I mean, really,
because there was beefing going on set. That's a tea on that. As I drink my tea, and Alyssa Milano won out for some reason. So there's that going on. Damien saying only one that can come is Shannon, please. The rest have been mean to our girls. I don't want the OG cast. That's what I was saying. I think there's just bad blood there, so I wouldn't be for it. I don't think it would happen. And it would seem kind of phony, and there's no reason for it, honestly. I think they've created their own folklore enough that we don't need them to come in with that. So, but now we know there's a magical Alcatraz, and these magical beings are fugitives. The question is, though, who put them? Who created the magical Alcatraz? Where do the charmed ones go to figure out who created the magical Alcatraz? I don't know why they haven't gone to the tree yet, but I don't know. Maybe they can't get close to the tree because it's magical. I don't know what's going on with that, but we need to figure. I think that's the next step. And let us know in the chat what you think the next steps are when it comes to, it and whatnot. So let us know what your thoughts on that too. Jayla is saying, go ask Celeste. Yeah, Celeste was an elder at one time. She was one of the creators of the White Lighters, right? Well, so it's like, why not go ask her? Say that, Ma, again?
I mean, they don't go to her at all. I mean, if the woman's there, y'all do not use this woman for, well, okay, this came up. Could you kind of like fill us in on it? They just go for everything, well, we got, they could have went to her to help with the decipher of the symbols.
Yeah. I don't even know if they told her about the symbols yet. Did they let Celeste know? Did they let the tree know? I don't know if this is an oversight on the writer's part or if we're just not there yet. Davil is saying, these are creatures from prehistoric times, so guards would be dead by now. But I think the first charm ones could have separated the source from the tree. So maybe there's that. They could have barbaric leaders as well, as David is saying. So, there's a lot of things. And I think, Candace is also saying, we also don't know what they did in the 3 months between seasons. That's true. So maybe we just have to assume they asked Celeste, they asked the others, and they just didn't get good answers. So there's that. But yeah, now we know what the big overarching thing is. What is the fifth dimension? Who will go to the fifth dimension? That'll be cool when they go to the fifth dimension. I don't know. I feel like there was a preview for the next episode. I don't know where they were. I kind of wondered if those of you who saw the preview for episode 7, I was wondering if somehow they had gotten to a new dimension or if there was just some weird change of reality. So there's also that. That's a thing too. So I don't know if that's the fifth dimension or not. That could be also something that goes into it. But now we got to get the ship talk, y'all. My mom makes this face because she knows how much I love the ship talk. I love my ship talk. It's a show, you know. It's one of
Yeah,
my favorite things.
yeah, because you brought you. I think all y'all talking of last week about Ruby, y'all just brought her back in the picture. They just said, "Oh, maybe they saw your show and said, let's bring Ruby back so they see that Ruby."
But they can't make it based on. They ain't watching this live stream and
You don't
then choose.
know.
Maybe for next season. I'm talking about. They already filmed these episodes, so
Yeah,
we
I know.
didn't.
I'm just saying how we was talking about like Ruby, and y'all don't see Ruby. All of a sudden, next thing you know, boom, there go Ruby. I said, "What damn? There go Ruby."
That's true. That is very true, lady. Maybe we brought up Ruby. Jayla's already saying Melby writes, Mel and Ruby writes. But but before we get into ship talk, y'all, let me say once again, if you haven't liked this video, please do so. Give this video a thumbs up and also check out the other videos on the channel. I talk about shows and movies. If you are going to be watching Justice League, coming out on the Snyder Cut, coming out on HBO Max this week, I will have a spoiler-free review right after it goes up, along with, but if you love it and want to talk spoilers, because I do love talking my spoilers of the DC and the Marvel cinematic universe, join me on Saturday with my brother and my guy, Michael. We're going to be talking about Justice League Snyder Cut in detail on Saturday for a live stream, if those of you want to join us for that. And I got some other stuff coming up as I look at some other shows I want to start diving into when it comes to weekly recaps and whatnot. So look out for that. So if you haven't subscribed already, please do so. And also, if you want to show some super chat love, that is always appreciated. So let's talk about, I got a lot of feelings about a lot of these, I got a lot of feelings about all three of these ships right now. And some very good and some not so good. Let's talk about Maggie and Jordan for a second. I am not feeling the way Maggie's been dealing with Jordan. I get it. They acknowledge their feelings because Maggie was like, I know feelings are here, but I really want to just focus on myself. Now, maybe it's just I've been tainted by the premonition she got, and I'm going to be so upset if she ends up sleeping with Antonio after she told Jordan, that she wants to really focus on herself. I'm not saying that a woman in focusing on herself can't have relations, but if you already have a thing going on with another guy and you literally have told him, hey, I'm not doing anything else, I don't want to do that right now with anybody, and especially with a guy who has been there, and not only say, oh, he's a nice guy, you owe him, but someone you do have a connection with, a romantic connection with. And I just will feel some type of way if she ends up, I've been waiting for a kiss, just a kiss with Jordan and Maggie. If I end up getting a whole friggin' sex scene with Maggie and the rando dude, sexist guy, Antonio, I'm going to be upset. I'm not feeling that. And I don't know, not everything has to be a love triangle for it to be interesting. And I just feel like that's such a,
you think that's such a producer's going to try to go?
I think they're going to maybe do a love triangle. I mean, the Antonio character, the actor. Say it again, Mom.
I said, I hope not. But unless, if they do that, Antonio turn out to be worse than worse. And then Jordan is the one that's going to step in and help that. That's the only way I can see that.
Yeah. And I mean, but this is the thing. I agree with you. The easy way out of that would make it so, Antonio ends up being a bad guy. But I also think that's cheap too, because it's kind of like this thing of, they sort of did it with Macy and Harry, right? They brought in Julian, who was a decent enough guy and played by my dude, who is amazing, and brought him in. And, that was a little tough. I was like, well, they do look good together too, Macy and Julian, because that's my dude. But it was kind of like they come in and but it was justified, right? Because Harry had started messing with Abigail. Even though he stopped messing with her, he had started to. So Macy was kind of like, okay, well, we ain't doing this right now. You don't want to admit anything. It's cool. But I feel like if they do this with Maggie, with this Antonio dude, it's just kind of like, why do that? You just said you were focusing on yourself. Why make it messy? Why do a messy thing like that? I feel some type, the writers have built up Jordan because we also saw his plot line this episode where, you know, he is trying to be a lawyer. He's trying to make a good amount of money to end up basically having enough money to open up his own practice to be the people's defense. And what happened was he was put in a really weird predicament by, you know, helping to prevent this woman from getting her just due from the company. And you could tell it hurt him because he's a good guy and he wants to use his lawyer skills for good. And so you have this, and it's not just about Jordan being a good guy. It's not about, oh, she should go out with the nice guy. I'm all about sometimes going out with playing with danger. My issue is you've built up Jordan. The writers have built up Jordan to be his own solo character, where sometimes he doesn't even need to have a plot line with the other three for me to be interested. I'm like, they've done so well with this character that I'm interested in him, even when he's not with the three of them. And when he just has his own solo thing going on, that's how much I like Jordan. And I love that. So I guess in my way, I'm like, I don't want him to be done dirty by Maggie. And I don't want to see him suffer because he cares for a girl who's basically playing some sort of weird, you know, I just want to be by myself. But then she starts linking up with the Antonio guy.
But I'm trying to understand with the Jordan plot line, they're not going back to, are they still trying to remove the curse? He's still cursed.
Yeah, he's still cursed. That's why Maggie can't touch him.
Yeah, but I'm still trying. When are they going to try? I mean, he's doing that, but how long are they going to keep trying? I mean, can't they help the man get rid of it?
Exactly. I mean, maybe that means we'll get some more Harry and Jordan scenes where, you know, right now Jordan seems to be very focused on his law career because, of course, they can't do magic all the time. But it's also clear that he needs to deal with the curse. So maybe that'll come back into play. Maybe they'll jumpstart it to be like, let me get this, let me do away with this curse so you and I can be together because I'll be a regular human if we get together. But that's not top priority right now, right? Erica is saying in the chat, exactly. She did my man Jordan wrong with that one. And seeing him see Maggie and Antonio broke my heart. Yeah, when he walked in on them, it wasn't a smile like, oh, I'm so happy for them. It was like,
well, I know it wasn't a smile like that.
No, yeah. It was definitely like, all right, that's where we're at right now. She's gonna start seeing some other dude, and I'm just gonna have to deal with that. It's just a bad move. I've been praising Maggie's growth for most of this season, right? And half of the last season. And I felt like if she does this, if she goes with the guy who clearly has some red flags about him, it's kind of Parker all over again, just without the demon side. And I'm just like, I thought we grew from this. I thought we did better, Maggie. I thought we did better to not go after dudes who clearly have issues like that are going to stand in the way of you truly being happy. You know what I'm saying? And I just feel like that would be a step back. Now, mind you, I'm making all this speculation over a thing, but the question is, she didn't seem too upset about her premonition either. You know, Maggie got the premonition. She didn't seem too upset that she just had a premonition she was about to wake up next to this guy. And she could have been like, oh my God, I have to go. But she sat there and she's like, oh no, it's fine. And I'm like, wait a minute. You got this premonition, you about to sleep with this dude, and you got feelings for Jordan, and you're not backing away? Like, what's going on here? Ray is saying, Jordan can support Maggie as a friend as Antonio cleaned that cauldron. No. I'm not here for it. I just think it's repetitive. It's silly. Candace is saying, I don't see any chemistry like that with Antonio. If sex happens, it'll be more recreational purposes. Sure. I mean, there's also that option too. You know, that maybe she just starts messing with him because she needs a little relief or something like that. But why? That's messy. It's messy. And she's supposed to be growing. We had Maggie grow. We all were praising her, how she was growing. And it's like, wait, you about to go with Parker Light here, who's clearly has some issues? You're about to do this all over again? The dude that got red flags up in here? One could argue, you don't even know. He could be trying to get close to her to try to distract her from her internship. Why are you going to start messing with the guy that you're competing with for the internship? How messy is that? You know, why even get close to him in that regard?
He gets close to you and steal what you have.
Could be. I mean, we don't know necessarily. We only know the contrived plot point that this guy is suddenly not so bad. We don't know if he's totally not so bad. Stephanie said, I'm so pressed about this. Blue Wolf is saying, well, Maggie doesn't make the best decisions. But this is the thing, Blue Wolf. She was getting better. Maggie was getting better.
Was.
And then they do this.
Do a relapse with her. I don't know.
It's silly. It's weird. Damie is saying exactly. Dave is saying Prue wanted to leave the show if Phoebe is still on. Oh yeah, that's they're talking about OG charm stuff. That's very much what was happening. Damie is also saying no to Magtonio. No. Damie, you already got a ship for him. You put it out in the universe. You got don't even combine their names. Don't give the writers any kind of. Don't even combine their names. Like, don't give them any kind of thing. Exactly. Like I was just saying, Caddis, you say Diet Parker. I call Antonio Parker Light right now. Damien is saying maybe she won't act on the premonition. And Stephanie is saying, and why add another human to the story that has nothing to do with magic? Exactly. It just seems kind of a distraction. Unless, like I said, Antonio turns out to be something significant. My guess, since we've been seeing the character so much, he's reoccurring. So he's probably going to be at least in some episodes of the season as we go on. Erica is saying Macy is the eldest and it shows. She is definitely the most mature. I don't know if it's because she has had the most growth, but yeah, love me some Macy. Davo is saying Antonio need to leave Maggie and go date Kevin. That too. Like, why can't, there's the question of whether or not, I know some people are wondering if Antonio may be, gay as well. That'd be a nice twist. I think we talked about in the other stream about us not having necessarily a prominent gay male character on the show. So, that could be something. Ray is saying because people complained from season 2, they didn't have mortal lives. And now they're doing that. And people are like, why are these people in their human lives? Yes, Ray, it's very true. You can't please us all. But I think there's a way to have them have human lives without it becoming so messy where you have characters that are just around to cause trouble. And I think that's the issue here. Zay is saying if she does act on the premonition, it'll probably be because she's under a spell or something and she isn't right in her right state. There could be that, although that would get messy too. Her sleeping with a guy under a spell, that's a whole weird thing of consent. I don't know if we want to go down that road with the show. It gets kind of messy. Davo is saying, am I the only one that thought Maggie got a vision of Antonio sleeping a guy and finding out he's gay? I had to watch it twice to see it. I don't know. He just seemed like he was coming out of the shower. I don't think that she was home. It seemed like he was coming out of the shower. So she seemed to be at his place. So I don't know. Jayla is saying, I'm just glad they didn't make Jordan jealous. We went through enough of that in season 2 with Harry. That's true. And that just shows how cool of a character Jordan is, right? That he is, he sees it and it's like, okay, cool. Because Jordan got his own things. And if Maggie, he's also a very mature character. He's been to war and things like that. So he's probably like, look, if this girl wants to be this way, what am I supposed to do? I got stuff I'm supposed to do. So I think he's taking the most mature route. Because in this case, I don't want Jordan to fight over Maggie. If Maggie is going to make this conscious decision that's just kind of toxic, although I hate using the word toxic because what does that even mean anymore? But a decision that doesn't best benefit her, then I don't think we should want Jordan to fight over that. For those of us who like the Jordan character, I think he's better than that to have to deal with that. Blue is saying Jordan didn't look too thrilled when those two were sharing beers. No, he didn't. But he also kind of looked like, okay, this is what she's doing. They should do some Jordan Swan. I low-key shit. But we haven't seen Swan in like 2 episodes. But yeah, that would be cool. If anything, I feel like I'm also going to say this plot line of Maggie feeling like she can't be connected to anyone because she has to focus on herself. I think that's a kind of an outdated kind of way of going about life. In a way, this idea that people can't grow solo, even if they're in relationships or dealing with people. This idea that in order to grow as a person, you have to be completely by yourself, because it kind of gives this notion that when you go out with somebody and you're committed, suddenly you stop growing. And that's not the case. So while I appreciate Maggie saying this about wanting to be, more mature and grow on her own, it's also kind of like, I feel like it's weird to kind of give that, for the show to give the messaging that a person cannot grow when they're in a relationship either. So that's a little thing. Caddis is saying, as Jordan said, life has been kicking them in the butt, so it's time they both kick butt. Exactly. And I think Jordan loves and cares about her enough that he's like, listen, I want you happy even if it's not with me. But Jordan's so great that they got to do something with him that connects him forever to the charm one so he can stay around. And I feel like that's through Maggie. But if they want to have her play games, then that's that. Jayla saying, if Maggie can keep Jordan on the back burner, then Jordan should be able to date others then. Exactly. And I think this just shows the power of how they've made Jordan such a fun character, because even though we're here before the charm was, all of us are kind of like, well, let Jordan date somebody else then. Make Maggie, because it's like, you don't do Jordan like that. You don't do it. We like Jordan too much, Maggie. You playing games. Let's bring somebody on for Jordan. That's how much we have come to love this character. And I think that just shows how great the actor is and how good the writing is for him. So there was that. I wasn't feeling it. I don't want Antonio and Maggie to hook up. I don't want that. I think it's too messy. I think if they're going to have Maggie waxing poetic about how she's growing on her own, then she needs to not be getting messy with Antonio, the person she's competing with. That's whack. I kind of agree with Jayla. I'm team Jordan. I don't know if I can be Jorgie at the moment if she ends up making that mistake. So I'm probably going to be team Jordan for a little bit in that regard. Damien saying Jordan didn't look upset. He thought Maggie was training things up with Antonio. Yeah, maybe he was under that regard too, just thinking, okay, she's fixing it on her own. I'll back off. But I don't think he was too happy seeing somebody else being able to get so close to her. You know, he straight up asked her this episode, what do you want, Maggie? Because he wants to know. He's like, what do you want? You know, and, you know, she just basically said, she's like, I see what my sisters are going through and I don't want to go through that. And I'm like, okay. So what's Jordan supposed to do? Just wait for you? You know what I mean? I'm like, okay, you think you're being mature, but you're kind of also just being avoiding stuff. Like you like a guy and you're telling him, I can't deal with that right now. I don't want to deal with the distance. So I think I'm just going to be solo. And she doesn't even say, well, and if that means you want to, she doesn't say any of that. So what is she expecting Jordan to do? Well, you know, I think it's gonna bite her in the butt. I think he might end up seeing somebody else and she might feel some type of way.
Well, she shouldn't.
Yeah. She shouldn't, but she will probably, and maybe that'll kick her in the butt.
Yeah.
Yeah. Erica's saying the fact that there are people who are more on Jordan's side than Maggie's right now is so funny. They did a great job with Jordan. Team Jordan for life. Exactly. Yeah. So, you know, okay. So next one it's probably gonna get heated in here now. Let's talk about Mel, Ruby, and Abigail. Okay. But before that, yes, Damie, Jordan for president. He's just great. Okay. So we had Mel and Ruby trying to do long distance. We saw Ruby. Okay. Mel and Ruby trying to do long distance. Mel was super jealous of Muffin Girl and Ruby hanging out. And Ruby basically said, yes, this girl asked me out, but I told her no. But somehow she's still hanging out with someone who asked her out. I don't know if that's cool. I don't know. Let us know in the chat. Do you think that'd be okay? Like if you were seeing someone and someone asked you out and your person knew and you were still hanging out with them, like, oh, but we're friends. But it's clear this person already has intentions towards you that are not just friends. So I don't know. Maybe some people are different with stuff like that. I just think if someone's already trying to stake claim, if I was
muffins, whatever she makes,
yeah, but she also eat it. Yeah, but she also admitted to Mel that the girl asked her out. So why are you still chilling with her? Like, I don't care if you don't want her.
Mel asked that too.
Yeah, it's like, why are you still chilling with her? Like, what's good? So they kind of have this thing, you know, where Mel's kind of jealous of what's going on with Ruby and missing hanging out with her. And yeah, Stephanie, I agree. Muffin Girl is real sus. And I just kind of am weirded out that if Ruby's so devoted to the relationship that she's still hanging out with someone who clearly wants to date her. That's just, I don't know. That's a little side eye. But then we have Abby who comes in. And I don't know if it was just I don't think I was reading too much into it. I feel like they really did have Abigail overtly flirt hardcore with Mel this episode, where it was just like, look behind you. Did you miss me? Admit it. You care about me. And this whole idea of when she was talking about, I'd rather have you in the bedroom while I'm sleeping.
Yeah, I said, really?
And then she kind of talked about torturing people slowly and stuff, and it was kind of sexual. And it's just like, she's like, I want to torture them slow. And Mel's like, what's going on? I loved it though. And I thought that was really interesting. And the fact that Abigail, when Ruby came by, I don't think Abigail was just doing it to cause trouble. I think she genuinely didn't want Ruby to come in between her and Mel in that moment that Mel was helping her. And that Abby basically came to the door like, Mel, who is it? Like, she knew who it was. And even Mel said, you did that on purpose. And Abigail's like, whatever. I'm not the one that didn't answer my girlfriend's text, to help me out, and yeah, she was definitely trying it this episode, as y'all are saying. Liliana said, I loved how Abigail just flat out told Mel she's interested in her. Yeah, just this idea. Caddis is saying, I can't trust Abby. Her flirting feels so vindictive. I don't know. I mean, I like the fact that Abigail went to her and said, you're the only person I can trust, which really does play on the idea that what some of us had noticed, which was that Mel and Abigail had formed a begrudging bond with each other, where Abigail did feel the most comfortable to reach out to Mel. Now, Mel was very standoffish this episode towards Abigail, and in a way, I think you can interpret it two ways. I think she really does care for Ruby, and I think we got that. She wants it to work with Ruby because she likes Ruby. I don't think it's love yet, but she likes Ruby a lot. I think Mel was a bit dismissive to Abby, probably because, Mel can be very judgmental. And we already saw that Mel was already judging her for becoming the overlord of the demon world again. So there was that. And I do think Mel was trying to play it really strong in the sense of, I don't care about you, but she still helped her. She still stayed over her house. She still didn't answer Ruby's text when Abigail.
She didn't answer them. That's when she saw the fire.
Yeah, but she could have texted her after the fire, right? Like, they're already home and everything. She about to go to bed. She never texts Ruby. It's 1:00 in the morning. Even she's like, who is that? She had never texted Ruby back,
Yeah.
And, even Abigail saying, like, you bring me over, And I think this goes back to when Abigail was telling Mel, I'm bi-magical or something like that. This was a couple episodes ago. And Mel kind of gave her the look of, like, what are you doing? And I think it's funny because I think, she does tell Ruby, I don't want Abigail. I don't want Abby. She does tell her that, and Ruby's like, I don't want that other girl. And it was a sweet moment for them. It was. I think if I'm looking at it storytelling wise, I think they're doing slow burn for Mel and Abigail, because I feel like Abigail's thing was a bit too overt for it to just be her playing along. And I feel like they very much have it so Mel feels compelled to help Abigail when she can. And I don't think that's not for nothing, because you could make it so Abigail goes to all three of the sisters. Hey, I need help this time. Can you help me? Oh, I need help this time. Can you help me? But she very much made it a point to say, I only trust you.
Yeah.
And I do think it's slow burn. And the question is, and looking online, looking under some of the videos of the promos and everything like that, I don't know if I feel like, being my time in many fandoms, I feel like this was a ship tease. I feel like this was a ship test. I feel like the writers put that out there to get fillers for the more overt Abigail and Mel thing to see how people would respond. And this is meta right now, right? Like, they're doing it to see how people respond. And I think, unfortunately, maybe for Ruby Mel shippers, that it's actually been a very positive response for Abigail and Mel online that I didn't even know. I thought I was like the weird one off, except for a few of us here thinking Abigail and Mel would work. And I didn't realize there were so many people who actually shipped them. And I don't know if they came out of the woodwork because of this episode or not, but they're definitely there. So what do you think, Ma? Out of the two, out of Abigail and Mel and Ruby, who do you think has the better chance?
I think they're gonna Mel and Abby.
Do you think they have a better chance overall? Stephanie saying, I do love me a slow burn enemies to lovers arc. Erica saying, all these darn slow burns, Joggy, Melby, etc. I'm going to need them to give us at least one certified ship, and that means a hacy wedding. Yes, definitely. I agree. Let's give us a hacy wedding. Kat is saying, Mel would have helped Abby anyway as a sense of duty. I don't know. I feel like, Mel can be pretty judgmental. She can walk away from people, and she has. She has been stubborn enough to say, no, we're not doing that. So, the fact that she felt the need to really kind of be there for her, begrudgingly, but she was there. Erica is saying, Abby only had like 3 friends, quote unquote, Harry, but Miss Macy ain't having that. Mel, but she was kind of standoffish this episode, and Jordy was helping her a lot. Yeah, and he's, busy right now. So, there's a lot of things. Jayla is saying, Abigail also said Mel had to help her as payback for all the times Abigail helped the sisters. It's always, you could just mute, Ma. It's always an did you mute? Yeah. It's always an ulterior motive with Abigail. It doesn't feel genuine. I don't know. I feel like it's Abigail's way, though, right, guys? I feel like that's kind of Abigail's way a little bit when it comes to the situation of my mom will be back in a second, y'all. When it comes to the situation, I feel like that's just kind of how, Abigail's not going to be rainbows and sunshine, right? So I think there's that. Jayla is saying, I cannot ship Mel with witch murdering Abigail, seeing as how Mel's fear is not being able to help witches. Okay. That makes sense. Liliana is saying, to me, I feel like Mel and Abigail scenes are electric. But chemistry type stuff, it's subjective to a degree. Yeah, it is. Zay is saying, Abby and Macy got along in the beginning before Harry came into the picture. I missed that. Yeah, they did. Where, when Macy was a little bit more open to her, which might have been a misstep on the writer's part. I just feel like I don't think anything's this show doesn't do subtle. It just doesn't. This show is not subtle with certain things, y'all. And I just feel like, as we see who gets broken up, right? It was Maggie and Jordan for a bit. Now they have Maggie hanging out with Antonio. It's always Harry and Macy going off most of the time, unless there's like a plot line between the sisters where they need to connect. Like we're probably going to see next week with Macy and Mel going on a little bit of an adventure together. And so I think when they pair off, there's a certain reasoning behind it. Now, do I think Ruby has a chance? She was very prominent in this episode, and I said it like a few streams ago where I was like, it's kind of weird because they don't have, there's a thing of, if Ruby's going to be around significantly, where is she? And so she's here now. And she does know the sister. She, she's the bartender and stuff like that. But the question is, where is it going? For Mel and her. Maybe there'll just be a relationship, like many of y'all were saying. Like, why can't they just have a regular relationship? And for once someone doesn't have drama, they just have someone they care about. So there's that too. But in terms of plot lines and stuff, I think there's more there with Abigail. But I definitely, it was kind of weird to me. As much as I liked it, it was weird to me how overtly they were doing a ship tease with Abigail and Macy. DeVille is saying, the fact that Mel could let Abigail wake up while in demon form is something Abby loves, Mel. Okay. Jayla is saying, if Maggie shouldn't be with toxic rude Antonio, why are we wanting that for Mel with Abigail? See, I knew you were going to say that, Jayla. I already said earlier, I was like, now, you know me, I like my danger ship occasionally. And the thing is, at one time, I actually shipped Maggie and Parker. I actually thought they were cute. I thought they needed a lot of time to grow. I didn't understand why they tried to make them so epic so quickly, but I saw the draw between them. My issue with Maggie is more so the fact that she's already been there, done that, and it didn't work out. There was a chance it could have, but it didn't. And so it's like, why do this again when you already have someone who has consistently been there for you accepts your magical side and everything like that. I think there's a different dynamic with Mel and Abigail versus Ruby. I think like I said, I don't like I try to use a different word than toxic because sometimes I feel like it loses its meaning of what does that actually mean. But I think there's storyline growth. There's two sides to this. There's the how interesting could it be storyline wise for this show versus, does it make sense? And I think that's what the writers are going to have to grapple with, right? And where Ruby fits in all of this, because as of now, Ruby still doesn't like doing magic. Abigail's all about the magic, whether it's demon, whether it's witch, she's all about it. She's all up in that world. And that is Mel's world to a certain degree. And I don't think they've addressed that yet. And I think it was interesting to me that the time that Ruby does come around, we got basically drama as opposed to her just being there, being supportive. It was like, okay, so is this just a plot point just to kind of show this relationship? Like, what is, is the only time? Because when we see Jordan and Maggie, sometimes Jordan just shows up just to be her compass, just to be there for her. And the same thing it was with Harry and Macy. And it's weird to me that the one time we see Ruby for Mel, it's this weird drama that involves Abigail. So I'm not saying I like Mel and Ruby too. I thought they had a very cute moment on the porch. It's just, I just kind of am trying to figure out where the writers' heads are on this. So let us know in the chat, y'all, and also in the replay, where do you think the writer's head is on this? Do you think the writers are truly investing in Mel and Ruby, or do you think they're, teasing for Mel and Abigail somewhere down the line? And yes, Erica, I also miss Jada. That was my favorite ship of Mel's, was her and Jada. That was my ship. And it's okay. I mean, the actress who played Jada is off making movies, so I can't hate on her. But I really liked them together, and because she had a little bit of darkness to her too, but she was also very cool and not as far on the edge as Abigail was. So, yeah. Liliana is saying, to me, we see Abigail putting up a front, but she is not afraid to be vulnerable with Mel. Antonio and Abigail are similar at first glance, but not so much when we break them down. Erica is saying, Maggie is too young for any long-term thing right now. Mel is getting there, but I can see her still dating a few more before she finds the one, and Macy is ready. Like, I know she has only had a few loves. Jayla is saying, I think Ruby would get more if the actress was on contract, like the actress playing Abigail. The writers should be investing in Ruby and Mel, but are baiting with Abigail and Mel. I agree with you. I totally agree with you. That's the thing. And that's where I'm saying, like, where are the writers' heads with this? Abigail, the actress who plays Abigail's on contract. Ruby isn't. And now they're ship teasing Abigail and Mel. We didn't hear an announcement that suddenly Ruby's going to be reoccurring or she's on contract. We didn't get that. So that doesn't forebode well for this situation. So I think in thinking of the meta aspect of it, storyline wise, I can go either way. I think I like the actress that plays Ruby. I think she does have some chemistry with Mel. I think they have cute moments. But I'm still not getting a lot from her. She came around and there was drama immediately of, it wasn't like, I have this situation with my family. Can you help me, Mel? Or something like where we get a little bit of backstory of who Ruby is. We have yet to get backstory of who Ruby really is beyond her situation with Mel. And to me, with storytelling, that doesn't forebode well. I don't even know if I'm using that word right. That doesn't go well with the idea of a character that the writers are trying to invest in. If her only purpose is this situation with Mel, because we're seeing with Jordan, they built him up. We see with Harry, they built him up. Even Abigail's been built up. Ruby is still very much a mystery to us. So, like I said, I like seeing my Mel and Abby, but I'm wondering where they're going with Mel and Ruby. David said, if someone asked me out, I wouldn't be friends with them. If I'm in a relationship because things can happen. Exactly. That's what I was saying. I mean, she admits, yeah, she asked me out, but I told her no. It's like, so why are you still hanging out with her? Like, that's weird to me. I don't know. Stephanie is saying the writing's on the wall for Melby. And honestly, I think Abimel is the long-term plan. Okay. So let us know in the chat and also in the replay, y'all, comment section, what your thoughts are. Where do you think they're going to be putting the thing? Zuli is saying Jordan brings stability. Our baby Maggie can't be everywhere and into everything. Sorority sister, witch, charm one, freshman, dropout, psych major. It's true. Yeah, Jordan brings her a sense of stability. And I think after the Parker situation that didn't work out, I think that's the better match for her right now. But she seems to be thinking something else. Liliana is saying, I have been looking for Ruby scenes with Mel's sister, but the closest I have got was in this episode, Ruby telling Maggie that it's last call. To me, it doesn't feel like they are investing in Abby and Mel. Yeah. Do you mean Abby and Mel or Abby and Mel and Ruby? I mean, either way, I definitely think we need more about Ruby. If we're going to ship these two people, we need more. I want more. I actually like the actress. So I'm just like, I could potentially like the character of Ruby. I just don't know much about her aside from the fact that she's dating Mel.
Mm-hmm.
But okay, now y'all, we got hacy. Y'all, you know I got to top it off with my hacy. So Harry is still on this stuff about the age difference. Let me know in the chat. Do you think the writers are making this a bigger deal than it needs to be? Or like, how are they going to be dealing with this? Because, you know, Harry's having back problems, even though I thought that was funny. But also, like, if he's like immortal, why is he having back problems? Like, what's wrong with his body? Or maybe it's just a sign of his age. I don't know if that was what they were playing on because it flashed back to him having age thing. So that was a little weird, but I you know, it was funny. I thought they were going to do away with the old age thing.
They got them in the age thing,
but it's come back, and it was so funny, Elliot, because the Elliot character was kind of awkward, and that's why I wanted him to stay around because I love a character that's kind of awkward that says things that sometimes everyone else is thinking, but they don't say it. I think you always need that kind of character around, and I felt like Elliot could have been that. Swan can be that way too, but we don't get to see Swan a lot. But Elliot says, "Oh, I've never talked to a married couple before." And of course, the two of them like, "Oh, we're not married," you know. But then then Elliot's like, "Oh yeah, that makes sense. You do seem significantly older than her." And I was just like, "What?" I was like, "No."
And that's when Harry like the whole face like.
And it's, you know, what's weird to me though, like in real life, I know the actors are about 14 years apart. I think that's how, because I believe Madeline is like 30, 31. And I think Rupert is about 40, like 44.
Oh, okay.
I know he's in his 40s. I think he's in his 40s. So there's a gap. Am I right, y'all? Let me know. I think so there is a gap. But this is the thing. Rupert doesn't look old. You know, if I saw this couple walking down the street, I wouldn't be thinking, man, she's dating this real older guy. Like, I wouldn't think that. I mean, I think Hacy looked great together. So I'm just kind of like, where is this thing? Like, Elliot's just like, oh yeah, you are significantly older than her. So it's like, like, I don't see it, you know? Yeah, Damien is saying they're making it a big deal. And Erica is saying, Harry is supposed to be 37 and Macy 30. So they being a bit much. Exactly. You know, I feel a little some type of way because for those of you who watch the channel, you know, my guy is Michael Damien, who has done The Stand and stuff with me. Funny enough, I am 5 years older than Michael. I know we look, you know, I look young. Of course, I am young, but I'm 5 years older than him. But I never feel like, I make a joke occasionally that he's with a cougar, but it's only 5, but it's a joke because it's only 5 years. So this weird thing of 7, I'm just like, why is this such a big deal? Now, I will say though, that the thing with Harry and the mortality was something that's significant to me. Not so much the age, but the more immortality aspect. I felt like that is something that needs to be addressed, right? It's kind of that conundrum of vampire shows where the woman starts dating a vampire and the question is she going to stay with him, you know, type of thing. Or is she going to become a vampire, right? So I do think they need to address that. The question is how, right? How do they address that? Do they does Harry give up his white lighter thing and just kind of age? But I remember last time when when the elders took the power from him, he aged really quickly. He was turning into an old man. So that may not be the case. That might not be possible for Harry. But the question is, how does Macy become immortal? Maybe she gets to watch like Celeste has, you know, like, I think that's the question too. Do you think that Macy might try to figure out a way to become immortal, Ma?
No.
So what do you think is gonna happen? They gotta address the fact that he doesn't age and she does.
Yeah, but when he told you're gonna die, she said, "What?" He said, "You're gonna get old, and then you're gonna die."
He does see that in his craziness. Yeah,
in his craziness. But I don't think they're gonna. You gotta understand too. If they, I don't care what you're telling me, they still taking some stuff from the OG, from the old, because in a sense, in the last part of it, they do grow old together. Mm-hmm. But you remember that Macy and them is going to go through some things now. So that's coming. I think that's going to come up too. And we'll see how that's going to go with the age thing. But I don't see why they're having him on that age. I mean, he's a white lighter. He can't get old. Don't he know? Even Jordan told him that you can't get old.
Yeah. But he's having back problems, which is a little weird. I don't know why he's having the back problem.
Well, it might have, but then that might come into play too. Somebody might, Jimmy's what's causing him to start to crack.
Yeah, Erica wants Jimmy back. Erica's saying Jimmy is what causing him to start to crack. Simple answer, bring it back. They might need to combine the two of them. But the problem is Jimmy is dead, supposedly. So what do you do there?
I don't think he's dead.
I saw him die, so I don't know.
No, I don't think he's dead. But somehow, watch. I am willing to bet on that. I don't think Jimmy's dead. I'm with, look, I think they bring her Jimmy back.
Yeah. Damie is saying, I think they're trying to give Harry insecurities. That's true. They're trying to, I appreciate the writers trying to give them an issue that isn't another person, because I'm okay with not having a triangle. So it's nice that they're having these internal issues about their relationship, because you can deal with that a little bit better than, someone is in there trying to break us up, versus how are we going to stay together? How is this going to work? Zay is saying Harry is aging due to Jimmy dying and Macy already died, so maybe she's going to live longer than most. Caddis is saying the allergy has stopped him from being able to use his abilities on the sisters or the magical community. Maybe that is having an effect on him. Yeah. Damien is saying, I think Macy will figure out a way for her to not age. She's the one that combines science with magic. If she wants to, right? The question is also, does she want to not age, right? Does she want to stay young with Harry forever? Or maybe she asks Harry to go grow old with her. Or something inadvertently happens that they don't have to make that choice, because they're dealing with the fifth dimension. They're dealing with some people, prehistoric things and entities. They're probably going to have to power up somehow, right? And Macy seems to be the one more susceptible to, because they did use Macy's blood to bring back these things. The other two didn't use their blood. So I feel like Macy's roots go a little bit deeper. And that would make sense because she is kind of the lead sister of the show. That maybe there's something deeper going on that they might tap into for her. Melina is saying, every relationship has its quirks. I feel like the writers are portraying a realistic hacy relationship. There's no perfect relationship, but healthy relationships involve communication. Blue Wolf is saying, no, we saw Jimmy go up in smoke. Who's to say he didn't orb? That's very true. Jayla is saying, Rupert Evans said in an interview, Jimmy is dead, and it helped Harry and Macy move on together, but I still hope Jimmy returns. Erica is saying, yes, I am loving this hazy communication. They have grown so much, and I love it. I am so proud of my babies. Yes, communication is really good. They're very much a mature couple, and I think it also shows how you can have a mature couple that doesn't have this drama of a third wheel or a triangle going on, and you can still have a good plot line with them. You can still make them interesting. You can still have them have issues, so there's a storyline there. They're not just sitting there happy, because we all know happy couples on TV shows don't always work. You need a little drama, right? And I think that's the one kudos I will say. I have a few other kudos, but that's a main kudos that I have for the writers in this. I'm not liking what they might be doing with Maggie at this moment. I feel like they're still trying to figure out what they're doing with Mel, but I definitely think they've gotten into a groove of what they want to do with Macy. And that I can get behind. Blue Wolf is saying maybe Macy's demon blood comes from an ancient source of magic. That too. The question, I think there's something going on with me. I think there may be something connected to Macy, because it also makes sense. Why bring this up now? Why make it so Harry is now trying acknowledging, because like I said, this show ain't the most subtle, right? So why have Harry so noticeably wondering about the situation of her not growing old, right? Yeah, so I think there's something to be said there. Jayla is saying Harry is so worried about losing Macy. That scene was so emotional. Love how Macy said they need to love each other right now. I agree. It was so, he was like, I want to lose you. I don't want to lose. And I'm like, oh my gosh, can they just touch? Like, oh, can we just stop this allergic reaction thing?
I think he played that part good with that orb.
He was total Gollum. I enjoyed it.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Blue Wolf is making a prediction. I think Macy's blood comes from the first demon. That might be true. I mean, I think they've always kind of played it up that Macy's a bit different than the other two sisters. And we saw that with the half demon thing, but I think we're going to see it more because, you know, Macy is kind of the lead sister in this regard. So I think we're going to see more of that. Yeah. Erica saying they really got anti-hacy people loving hacy. The power of hacy is strong. Very true. Yeah, so I mean, overall with the ship talk, I feel like hacy is strong. I think they're gonna have issues, but I think this may play into a larger plot line of Macy maybe getting some new kind of powers. And I think I'm a little worried for Mel and Ruby because I think this was a cute episode with them, but I don't know how long that will last. And I think I hope Maggie doesn't do Jordan wrong because I ain't here for it. Yeah. Damien is saying that's why I love Hacy. They show us that we can have healthy relationships on TV, and they are the most mature ship on the show. Exactly. And they don't have to be, you know, having all these issues with third parties and things like that, which I think sometimes it's fun. Third party triangles are fun. And sometimes it's just kind of lazy storytelling when you don't really need it. So hopefully they, get there with it. But lady, do you have any predictions for next episode or not, like as we wrap it up?
No, I have no predictions to think I'm thinking about. No, I don't have one. But I know, well, yes, I do. I predict that they're not going to let them two get together. It's just a
with Maggie and Antonio.
Yeah, Maggie and Antonio. I hope they, that was just like something to, for her to see, and for her to see with Jordan that that's not good to go for.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that. But I'm also hoping that with this fifth dimension, they get to find out, since these are supposed to be like prisoners coming from that world into our world, and how they're going to deal with it. Because, like they said, how would they be able to stop it? But with everyone that come through that dimension, there's a symbol that come with them.
Yeah. So they have to figure it out how to either close it or what,
with it, because because with that tablet, it's bringing all the symbols in line. So I guess that's the way they're going to be able to read it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I agree with you.
Good. But it's getting good. It's getting there. Slowly, but it's getting there. Because I think some of the plot lines could be a little better.
Mm.
Especially, I understand with the relationships, but I do believe that they are going to try to go for Mel and Abby.
Yeah.
Though everybody probably said, no, not with Ruby. Like I said, y'all talk Ruby up.
We did, but in a good way. I wanted to see more on Ruby. I want them to develop Ruby as a character that's not just in relation to Mel's relationship insecurities that Abigail brought up.
Well, I would like to find out why Ruby don't really want to use magic. I mean, if you got it, why not use it?
I think she just don't want anything to do with it. She doesn't want the danger.
That's what I'm saying.
And everything.
If you got it, you don't want the danger. There's no danger in some of the things that you do.
Yeah.
Especially if you know how Mel, if Mel is one of the charm ones, you go into that relationship that she's going to be fighting.
Yeah. Yeah. Jayla is saying, I want to know when the big baddie from the dimension is coming out to face the sisters. The others have been easy to defeat. Exactly. Yeah. They're building up to the big one, right? Like, who is that?
Yeah. They're do that on their finale. Wow.
And as for me, I definitely agree with Zay. I am looking forward to Mel and Macy. I think they make a great I think they make a very interesting dynamic when they're together because it's interesting. We don't get enough of it. So I can't even say what exactly the dynamic is sometimes, but when we get it, I think it works pretty well. So I think it'll be interesting to see them. Yeah. So I think that'll be interesting. Where is it with them? So I'm looking forward to it. I don't really have any predictions for the season overall so far. I like the fact of the magical Alcatraz, and I think my question is, who put them there, and when are the sisters gonna figure that out? So that's my main thing. And I know a lot of you are saying Jimmy isn't dead. I'm gonna go with the fact that I think Jimmy is dead, y'all. I'll be the counter. I think Jimmy's dead. I don't think he's coming back. I think they wrapped up that plot line. But I think it's gonna be some other way.
That's why I'm not understanding. How can he kill part of Harry if that was the part of him? I mean, I just don't get that part.
Because they switched up the plot line halfway through. It was a whole thing about merging them, and then they just decided they didn't want to do it. So that's just what that's writers. That's the writers. That's not even plot line.
Writers come out, left field on you. Go, what?
Yeah. All right, y'all. So that was our kind of full breakdown. Thank you so much for joining us. Please, if you haven't already subscribed, and if you haven't already given this video a thumbs up, please do so. Also, let us know your theories in the replay section. Let me know I want to know, how long do you think Mel and Ruby will be able to be together? Do you think Mel and Ruby are in game? Let me know. Or do you think Mel and Abby are not necessarily in game, but about to be full-fledged on relationship? And what do you think? Who do you think is behind the magical Alcatraz? So let me know, y'all. Comment down below. And once again, thank you so much for joining me and my mama on this magical journey. You all are very appreciated, and we appreciate talking to you. So stay safe and have a great rest of your weekend. Week. Oh my gosh. I kind of want it to be the weekend. I can't stand Mondays. All right, y'all.
Have a good one.
Bye.